Another week in the NHL. Some playoff dreams are coming true, others are dead in the water. Starting on Sunday, we have Edmonton versus Ottawa. Barzal was absolutely fantastic tonight. Some of the few goals that Edmonton scored was from Zach Hyman scoring his 50th of his career, his first time hitting 50 in his entire career. Leafs fans continue to huff pure copium as his contract ages better and better, having him at $5 million as an absolute steal. However, even though Zach Hyman hit his 50th, that was not enough to motivate the Oilers not to play down to their competition as they get their asses kicked 5-3 by the Ottawa Senators and are absolutely swept out of Ontario. Then moving over to Calgary and Buffalo. Another rough night for Dustin Wolf, as he is clearly in the need for some more development at the NHL level. I'm not sure why he hasn't played in the offseason or in less important games up to this point. He only plays when someone else is injured, and I'm not entirely sure that why. Anyway, the Sabres just absolutely steamroll the Calgary Flames as they kind of lay down and take it. Some big questions come up about the Calgary Flames. My last video, I really dove into that head first, and big questions remain. We'll see where everything goes, but Wolf needs some more development at the NHL level. He's killing it in the minors. So with Dan Vladar out, we'll see how the rest of the week goes with him in net. Hopefully he can bounce back and get that confidence he needs, but the Flames really did just kind of lay down and die and took this one, as the Buffalo Sabres take that one 4-1. Then over to Montreal versus Seattle. The Seattle Kraken really need some changes and pretty quick here. I know they became a team recently in the grand scheme of things, but it's been a little while now that they've been in the league and a rebuild seems pretty necessary. I was surprised how little they did at the deadline. I would really thought they would add some defensive and offensive pieces, but they really didn't do a whole lot to change their core roster. They are in a desperate need of a rebuild, and it's becoming more and more clear. Letting 2 goals on 2 shots in the first start of the game is not going to work. It's never, ever going to work. It's a recipe for absolute disaster, and we saw that on full effect tonight. When their goal got taken off the board due to offside, I didn't hear any booing. I didn't hear any refs you suck chants. All I heard was an entire arena sigh at once, as this fan base is just beaten down and pretty down already. It's the life has really been taken out of Climate Pledge Arena, and it's tough to watch, especially since I do like the Kraken a lot, and I think they have a lot of promise and a lot of potential. But they really need some shakeups, and they really need a desperate rebuild badly. Get some scoring power for Matty Beniers, Jared McCann, and Jordan Eberle to wrap around. Then that would be huge for the Seattle Kraken, and I can see them being dangerous in the future if that's the case. The Montreal Canadiens take that game 5-1. Then with New Jersey versus the New York Islanders. The Islanders really fascinate me. They are the envy of the league when it comes to goaltending. A lot of teams would kill to have a goaltender as consistent as Sorokin. I know the Devils would, for example. Um, you would think, since they've had him for so long, that they would build a team around him, or at least build a defense around him, but they really haven't. Their defense is extremely spotty, extremely inconsistent and lackluster, letting up bad passes in their zone, turnovers, losing your man. All this stuff happens on a nightly basis, and it's really not helped that their offense is pretty much non-existent. They have absolutely no scoring power. Matthew Barzal and Anders Lee are trying their best, but it's a losing battle, and Brock Nelson can only score so many dirty goals at once. And the New Jersey Devils take that one 4-0. Then over to Toronto and Carolina. Freddie Anderson time traveled back 5 years and absolutely stonewalled Matthew and the Leafs. The Leafs, other than one sneaky one-timer, could not figure out the Carolina defense. They played an absolute masterclass on how to stop a solid offense, and Seth Jarvis was 1 inch away from sealing the game on an empty net. His reaction was priceless. You could tell he really thought that was going in. I thought it was going in. Everyone thought it was going in. But it happens. Carolina still takes this one too. Then over to Florida versus Philadelphia. This game really showed some flaws in Tortorella's coaching style. He is a fantastic coach, but his all-in offense all the time way of coaching can cause some really problems, and they can cause some pretty deadly turnovers, as we saw on the second power play goal by the Florida Panthers. Other than that, the Philadelphia Flyers still look very good. They played a really good game, and they played really good games later on in the week. Stolars played a great game, really came into clutch as the backup for Bobrovsky, and Sam Reinhart hits his 50th goal of the season just an hour after Zach Hyman did two 50-goal seasons in one game. That's incredible. You rarely see it. I don't think that's ever happened before, but hey, good on him. I like Reinhardt and I like Hyman, so I'm happy either way. And the Florida Panthers take that one 4-1. Arizona is a pretty depressing team to watch these days. Even when they play at home, the crowd isn't really into it, and the team seems to just be going through the motions and just trying to get the night over with. It's a pretty depressing atmosphere. Their only hope for the future is that land deal going through, and also the 2000 draft picks that they have coming up down the pipeline here. Hopefully one of those pans out. And Jay Gottinger displayed his magical powers once again as the Dallas Stars take this 4-2. Then over to Tampa Bay versus Anaheim. I've honestly been really impressed with Anaheim's play as of recently. They haven't been winning a lot of games, but the games they've been playing, they play hard, they play to win, and they do not give up. They in this one, however, they just couldn't keep up with Tampa's scoring power, but they really put the big dogs on the ropes. They really gave them a fight for the win. But I think they, just couldn't keep up with the amount of scoring power on the Tampa Bay Lightning right now with Kucherov, Stamkos, and Point. Point did leave the game early due to an injury. I really hope Braden Point is okay. He has been on an absolute tear as of recently, and he has been really coming out of nowhere to put his name down in the running for the Hart candidacy. But we'll have to see. I think it was announced today that he's went from day to day to healthy, so I'm glad to hear he's okay. I'm not exactly sure what it was that injured him. I didn't quite see it, but seems like he's doing good now, and he's back in the lineup for the Lightning, and that's going to be a huge sigh of relief for a lot of Lightning fans. And Tampa Bay takes this one 3-2 in overtime. Then over to Winnipeg versus Washington. My concerns for Winnipeg grow stronger. I'm not exactly sure what it is about this team. I can't quite put my finger on it, but they just look extremely out of it. Did they just get a hot start and have been riding that momentum? I don't know, but I genuinely can't say with 100% certainty that this is a cup contending team like I could have said a few months ago. They had their recent losses that just, I think, have gotten to their head, and they've been really shaky ever since. I really hope they can get it together before the postseason starts, but it's really not looking good. The Capitals simply outworked them all game. The shots were 20-11 going into the third period, and Lindgren just had their number and just stonewalled the entire night as he takes the shutout, 3-0 Capitals. Then finally with Pittsburgh versus Colorado. This game will go down as an instant classic. This week had two games that I would go down as instant classic. We will get to the other one later on, but for this one, the Penguins looked electric for the first 40 minutes, absolutely lighting the lamp against the Colorado Avalanche. Crosby returned to his pure form. In past years of Pittsburgh, once Crosby scored that third goal, it would have been game over. It is the modern day. The Pittsburgh Penguins are older and the Avalanche are young and hungry. Blowing a 4-goal lead in a game and then ending up losing in overtime is a universal sign for any team that something is very wrong. This needs to be a wake-up call for the Pittsburgh Penguins to let them know that this core is not going to work once you pin them against the elite teams of the league. And this demonstrates it perfectly. Blowing a 4-goal lead is not acceptable. I understand that it's the Avalanche, but also you have Crosby, Malkin, and Letang on the other end, and Yari in net. You should not be blowing a 4-goal lead like this. Then switching over to Monday night, we only had two games on Monday night, starting out with the St. Louis Blues and the Vegas Golden Knights. St. Louis really wanted this game, and it honestly showed. They played a really great game. Binnington played out of his mind. They created a lot of high-danger chances in the offensive zone. They really made Vegas sweat for it, and they did a really good job keeping up that offensive pressure when they needed to. And Thompson just played a really great game as well. Both goalies had great games. The St. Louis Blues played their best game they could, but they simply got goalied by Thompson. It happens to everybody. but it was a really great game to watch either way. And the Vegas Golden Knights take that 2-1. Then the last game of the night was LA versus Vancouver. The pressure from the Canucks was immense in the first period. LA looked very disorganized and overwhelmed. Whenever they touched the puck, there would be 4 to 5 Canucks on them. But that momentum quickly changed. However, as the LA Kings ran away with it in the second period, scoring 2 unanswered, which really put Vancouver on their heels going into the third period. Canucks pull an aggressive strategy in the third, pulling DeSmith with 4 minutes left in the game. This seemed to pay off as the Canucks scored shortly after on the man advantage, putting the game within 1. But LA was able to hold out, however, winning the game 3-2, taking the W. Then over on Tuesday, we started out with Edmonton versus Winnipeg. For the Oilers, both Carrick and Stetcher were scratched for tonight's game. Leon Draisaitl continues to have Connor Hellebuyck's number completely. He has never scored on a goalie as much as he has scored on Hellebuyck, and Hellebuyck has never been scored on by the same player as much as he has by Draisaitl. That he just seems to know what to do against him. He just seems to know Hellebuyck's patterns more than anybody. Connor Brown scored yet another goal. That's 3 goals in his last 10 games. Seems like he just needed to get that monkey off his back with the first goal, and then it just opened the floodgates for him to score some more. It's really great to see him turn it around and kind of get his game together. There were 2 separate double minors for this game, one for Edmonton and then one for Winnipeg. The Oilers quickly score on the Jets double minor. No matter how hard they tried, Winnipeg could not beat the Edmonton Oilers as the Oilers take this one 3-2 in overtime. Then switching the channel over to Calgary versus Chicago. The Flames got absolutely manhandled by the Hawks tonight. Flames fans everywhere are hoping this finally convinces the team to tank and kind of throws a splash of water in the face of management to realize that this team is in a rough shape. And is in no place to make a playoff push. Getting outplayed this hard by the NHL's equivalent of Team Latvia is a concern, no matter the team's situation. I also want to touch on the bizarre move Markstrom made. He went to go play the puck, kind of fumbled it a little bit, and instead of jumping back into the net to guard the now empty net, he decided to dive out to center ice to play the puck again while a Hawk was coming down the line. And that was a really bizarre move. Uyghur came in with a clutch save to prevent the goal. But man, any other team you're playing, and if you pull that move, that's not going to work. I was really confused on what Markstrom was doing. He does that so often. He has kind of those spaz moments where he'll just like run out and do something unexpected. And that was a really bizarre example of that. And the Hawks take that one 3-1. Then now over to Anaheim versus Seattle. This was pretty much an exhibition game. Both teams are pretty well out of the playoffs. Something to note, Jordan Eberle time traveled back to the mid-2000s and switched places with his mid-20s Oilers version of himself, as he has been absolutely fantastic recently. Matty Beniers' goal was also a beauty. If the Kraken figure out how to do this a little more often and more consistently, then they'll be in business, as the Kraken take that one 4-0. Then with Boston and Florida, why did the commentator call Sam Reinhart a rhinoceros after he scored? This was a very physical game. Lindholm kind of got his ass kicked by Sam Bennett. He kind of threw a cheap shot and then turtled immediately once the fight started. This is honestly a great game to watch. A lot of scoring from 2 teams with great offensive presences. And there was 2 good tilts, what's not to like, as Boston takes that one 4-3. Now looking over to Philadelphia versus the New York Rangers. I'm deeply concerned that some guys in Philadelphia are going to die in practice tomorrow. Mika Zibanejad might be one of the most fun players to watch in the game. Owen Tippett continues his streak of being absolutely money in key situations. And this night was no different. Philadelphia played their best, but the Broadway bus would not be denied as they take this one 6-5 in overtime. Carolina and Pittsburgh is up next. This is a massive win for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The confidence boost that this must give really is needed in that locker room. Someone I wanted to shout out is Jesse Puljujarvi. That guy has not stopped scoring. He is unable to stop scoring. He is the next Connor McDavid. He is better than Connor McDavid. He's better than Nathan McKinnon. He is currently on a 2-game goal streak. He cannot be stopped. He is the best offensive player in the entire league, and it's not even close. I'm not sure why he's not in the conversation for probably the best that has ever done it. This game also just proved that even the best teams in the world can just get goalied sometimes. That's exactly what happened. Carolina Hurricanes could just not figure out the goaltending, and it came to bite them. It happens. Whatever, get the fuck over it. As Pittsburgh Penguins take that 1-4-1. Then with Detroit and Washington, The Washington Capitals are absolutely rolling right now. Lindgren had a great game. He's had a great season overall. Just on some unfortunate losing of scrambles led to some goals against, as well as the defense losing track of their man. But that's okay. They squeak out the win anyway. The Caps are continuing their hot streak, and I'm kind of here for it. So good on them. Good for their fans. Whatever. As the Washington Capitals take that 4-3 in overtime. Then with Toronto and New Jersey, not much to say about this one. 'Twas a big night for the New Jersey Devils. They really needed this win. It was a messy win, but it is a win nonetheless. Those count just the same. Allen had a great night. The Leafs had a very rough third period, and it really bit them in the ass in the long run. So Devils take this one 6-3. Big win for the Devils. Good on you, boys. Still some questions to be answered with that team, but you embarrass the Leafs, and that's the league's favorite pastime. Then over to Nashville versus Vegas. This game absolutely felt like playoff hockey. This was hands down the best game of the night, in my opinion. I'm a sucker for comeback games, and the Nashville Predators put on a great performance. Even if they lost in overtime, then I would have been fine with that. But they scored 4 unanswered against one of my least favorite teams. They're really just trying to make me blush. I think I'm officially on the Nashville Predators bandwagon. They completely work their asses off. They earn every point they get. They earn every win they get. And this game was no different, and it's probably the best example. They have earned this point streak, and I hope they never stop. This game was a joyride from start to finish, and will go down as an instant classic, as the Predators take that one 5-4 in overtime. Then switching the channel over to Montreal and Colorado. Suzuki and McKinnon trade goals before we even hit the 5-minute mark of the game. Tonight we have seen 2 Titan teams get absolutely goalied. First, it was the Carolina Hurricanes. Now it's the Colorado Avalanche. Getting goalied is the one and only true equalizer. Every team has it. No matter how good you are, every team has gotten goalied at least once this season. And Montreal takes this one 2-1. Then over to the heartwarming story of the night, Columbus versus Arizona. Big news is Josh Doan scores his first 2 goals in his debut in front of his dad and the rest of his family at home. The Doans are absolutely beloved in that league, and the league is just a better place with the Doans and the Iginlas all playing in the league again. I cannot wait for the Iginlas to come back. It's going to be a great time. And Josh Jones seems to be showing a lot of promise as well. Very excited to see what he does in the future. As the Arizona Coyotes take that one 6-2. Ending off the night with Dallas and San Jose. Yes, Dallas is playing San Jose yet again. Don't you just love these absolutely fresh matchups? And guess what? It went exactly how every other matchup has gone this season. And the Dallas Stars take this one 6-3. Then on Wednesday, we only had 2 games on Wednesday, so not too tricky. Starting out with Ottawa versus Buffalo. This, by a large margin, was the absolute worst game that the Buffalo Sabres have played this season. They got absolutely embarrassed and outworked by the Ottawa Senators, getting scored on 4 times before we even hit the 10-minute mark into the game. Getting scored on that much by the team the likes of the Ottawa Senators is a catastrophic failure no matter your circumstances. Buffalo's defense was embarrassing, out of sync, and slow to react to offensive pressure. They just let the Ottawa Senators walk past. I find it kind of insulting that the Sabres played this quality of game at home. Buffalo is a blue-collar town. A lot of those people in the stands spent their hard-earned time and money coming to this game to see their favorite team play, and they just got absolutely embarrassed. And it's really a shame to see. A team should at least show respect to their fans, especially when they're playing at home, to say like, hey, you came out to spend your money and watch us play. We're going to at least show you the respect of trying and kind of stepping up and at least making it a fight. And the Buffalo Sabres really didn't do that. I don't blame the fans for booing them off the ice. It was well deserved. As the Buffalo Sabres fall to the Ottawa Senators 6-2. Then with Boston versus Tampa Bay, Boston has been showing some cracks in their game as of recently. They're still a great team, but I do think that they'll have a tougher time in the playoffs than they think they will. I think once they line up against Florida, they'll have like a PTSD attack, and I think they will most likely, if I had to put my money on it, will fall to Florida in the playoffs. We'll have to see what happens, but and this is another example of them kind of showing the cracks and showing other teams like what is needed to stop them and what is needed to score against them. As they've prided themselves on good defense and good goaltending, it seems that is slowly fading over time. So we'll see what happens in the postseason. but a tough loss for Boston as the Tampa Bay Lightning take this one 3-1. Then looking over on Thursday, starting out with Edmonton versus LA. The Oilers just continue to have LA's number on speed dial. LA can squeak out a win against the Oilers every so often, but it seems that Edmonton always steps up and beats them when it really matters. This was very much a preview into the first round of the playoffs coming up here. And yes, it's annoying that it's LA versus Edmonton for the third year in a row. I would love to see some new matchups, but honestly, I'm excited. I do love a good LA versus Edmonton game. They're always pretty physical, always very high scoring, and I'm really looking forward to it. This sends a clear message to the LA Kings that they really need to step up their game if they're going to stand a chance in the playoffs. And I do believe they got the message. It was kind of a bullying affair for the Oilers. They kind of just walked through, decimated the ground, and then walked out. And I think LA is going to be left to pick up the pieces. And I think they really need to kind of step up and get things together if they're going to stand a chance in the playoffs, as the Oilers take that one 4-1. Then with Calgary and St. Louis, another tough night for Wolf, honestly. Not that he had a lot of help from the defense, but he did have a few goals that he really kind of just should have had. This was an extremely disorganized game from the Calgary Flames. They really did just let St. Louis walk through and walk into scoring chances. That really just killed them in the end. Lazy game from the Flames. The St. Louis Blues needed this win to keep their playoff hopes alive, and they played like it. The better team won in this instance, as the Blues take that one 5-3. Then with Anaheim and Seattle, I'm going to make this one quick. It was a pretty mid affair, just kind of good old battle of mid. Good on him. Eberle continues to look like his younger self, but that's pretty much all there is to report. Kraken hockey, baby. And the Kraken take that one 4-2. Then with the New York Islanders and the Florida Panthers. Big win for the Islanders. Florida's been taking their foot off the gas recently, and you know, fair enough. They've already clinched the playoff spot, and with a team as injury prone as the Florida Panthers, you don't really want to press on games that don't really matter. They're already in the playoffs. They don't really need any more wins. They're kind of just focused on the playoffs now, and that makes total sense. So good for the Islanders, sneak out a win, but I think Florida is looking more long-term game right now, especially with how fragile some of those guys are. And New York Islanders take that 3-2. Then with Philadelphia versus Montreal, Montreal should really give the second star to the refs in this game because they really helped out a ton. The reffing was pretty brutal against the Philadelphia Flyers. They had 2 goals taken off the board. It's not like the boys weren't putting the puck in the net. It was more that they just couldn't get them to stick on the board. I know Torts was extremely pissed off about that, rightfully so. But it's honestly not like the Philadelphia Flyers played bad. I think they outplayed the Montreal Canadiens. They just really were working against the refs at a lot of these points, and the refs kind of took control of the game and made it so Philadelphia just really didn't stand a chance. But honestly, good game from Philly overall. They generated a lot of scoring chances, a lot of shots, and the pressure was great. But the Habs squeaked this one 4-1. It happens. Then with Chicago versus Ottawa. Ottawa is pretty much fucked as far as the postseason goes, but they are actually on a 4-game win streak right now, beating the likes of Edmonton and New Jersey in that win streak. No easy task, so shout out to those guys. They're playing pretty well right now. And with Winnipeg coming down the pipeline in their next game here, I'm really excited to see what they do there. I think it's going to be an interesting game. Sens take that one 2-0. Columbus versus Pittsburgh is up next. Pittsburgh controlled both ends of the ice really well. They put on a dominant performance as they should against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Columbus Blue Jackets took it like they always do. This game went as you would expect, being 3-2 to the Pens. Then Washington versus Toronto is next. The Caps were just slow on this one. The Leafs really made it look easy to walk through their defense and just walk in and score. Just utter domination from the Leafs. It was really something to behold. The Leafs had just under 50 shots at the end of the game. Just by that margin, you can tell that the Leafs were really in control of this one. The Leafs take that one 5-1. Then Detroit versus Carolina. I honestly feel bad for the Red Wings. They met a well-oiled machine in Carolina that also is motivated by being 1 win away from clinching the playoff spot. The Canes were absolutely all over the Wings in the first half, going into the second period with the shots being 15-3. Reimer honestly played a great game. He did his best to keep them at bay. He really didn't have much help. He had 1 or 2 goals that he really shouldn't have let in. But other than that, defense broke down and he just was left out to dry. They got scored on twice in a row because the team was not paying attention and they missed someone coming up behind them. And against a team like Carolina, they will make you pay for that. And they did make them pay for it, winning this one 4-0. I really just want to start skipping over San Jose games. They pretty much always lose, and this night was no different. Minnesota, congrats, you took this one 3-1. That's the bare minimum. Let's move on. Then with Vegas versus Winnipeg, despite the score, this was a pretty even affair. The Winnipeg Jets goal scoring just really struggled to put the puck in the back of the net. They had the chances, they had the shots, they just could not figure out Thompson. Overall, though, pretty even affair. Pretty good back and forth, pretty physical game. The Vegas Golden Knights squeaked this one out 4-1. Good for them. They needed this win to further the playoffs hopes. Jets really needed this one as well. So it's just unfortunate for both teams. One of these teams is going to come out disappointed. That's just the nature of how this goes nowadays. Then the New York Rangers and the Colorado Avalanche are up next. This was a very exciting game, really fun to watch. Truly a battle of titans. These are two of the best teams in the league right now. It was a very physical back and forth games, tons of offensive pressure on both sides. This was another playoff preview, and I'm so excited. I genuinely cannot wait for these playoffs. They're going to be some of the best hockey we've seen in years, as the Rangers take this one 3-2 in a shootout. Then Nashville versus Arizona is up next. What an unexpected team to lose your point streak to, Nashville. This is a game that the Preds need to learn from. I don't care if you're playing an OHL team. Playing down to your competition is always a recipe for failure, and this is a prime example of it. You cannot go into a game expecting a W. You always have to earn one. That is a lesson every team has had to learn. Every team is guilty of playing down to their competition, and Nashville has suffered the most recent victim of it. I think they just need to cancel team dinner, and everything will be okay. As the Arizona Coyotes take this one 8-4. Ending off tonight with Dallas versus Vancouver. Stars clinched themselves a playoff spot with this one, as Vancouver fans must be blue-balled till at least Sunday till they can do the same. This was honestly another very evenly matched game. The Vancouver Canucks had a lot of chances. The Stars just capitalized on theirs better. That's pretty much all there is to say. Stars take this one 3-1. Vancouver played a great game. I wouldn't be too mad about it. Stars are absolutely rolling right now. Then we only had one game on Friday, and yes, it's a different day. Please don't ask. The only game of the day was New Jersey versus Buffalo. This game was honestly pretty boring until Tage Thompson decided he wanted to start scoring again. The Sabres needed this win just to apologize to their fan base for the last game against the Senators. And they do just that, taking this one 5-2. As for New Jersey, there are big concerns still with the team. Goaltending, defense, all that really struggled. We'll have to see what happens in the offseason, but a tough night for New Jersey as well. Then looking over on Saturday, starting out with Detroit versus Florida. This game made me really feel bad for Alex Lyon. He played a fantastic game against the Predators' offense. He was really screwed over by his teammate accidentally tapping the puck into his net when he wasn't expecting it, and that was the goal that really turned the game around and brought the Panthers back into contention. Despite for the good fight from Alex Lyon, the Florida Panthers take this one 3-2 in a shootout. Then over to Edmonton versus Anaheim. Adam Henrique, of all people, opened the scoring his first goal against his former club. Oilers took full control of this game from beginning to end. It seemed that they really wanted to make up for their loss against the Senators. Seems to be a common theme these days that teams really want to make up their losses against the Senators. First Buffalo, now Edmonton. Seems the telltale sign of a guilty conscience is losing to the Ottawa Senators, as the Edmonton Oilers take that one 6-1. Then with Minnesota versus Vegas, Gustafsson had a great night. He really did his best against the star power depth on the Knights, but eventually the star power took over. Eichel did get ejected for spearing Kirill Kaprizov. Minnesota did a good job keeping the Knights held back, but the Knights eventually took over in the last 5 minutes, bringing it to overtime. And I understand this strategy worked against Detroit, but pulling your goalie against the Knights is just not going to work. I get that it worked in the past, but the Vegas Golden Knights are a much different beast than the Detroit Red Wings, and Vegas takes that 2-1 in an overtime. Then with New York versus Arizona. Some small part of me really thought that the Arizona Coyotes would pull a Hail Mary and sneak out a win against the best team in the league. While that didn't happen, they did put up a pretty good fight. Scoring 5 goals against the best team is nothing to sneeze at, especially with the rough year that the Coyotes have been having. Josh Jones stays hot. He seems to be a diamond in the rough for the team, and it's fantastic to see. You love to see a former player's kid get the chance, especially on the same team he did. It's fantastic to see, and I hope to see more of it. Good fight from the Coyotes. let's be real though, they were honestly no match against the Rangers. The Rangers are just way too hot right now as they take it 8-5. Next up is LA versus Calgary. I'm not sure what's more annoying, that the LA Kings play so much trap that they only got 20 shots all game, or that the Calgary Flames almost lost anyway. The Kings have been relying on traps so much that it's actually just kind of annoying at this point. I get it's an effective strategy for defense and keeping offensive pressure down, but also it's just not fun to watch. It's just plain out boring. And at the end of the day, it's a spectator sport. When you're playing so much trap that the neutral zone is just the main area of play, then it just doesn't make an entertaining hockey game. Sorry, not sorry. And Calgary takes that one 4-2. Then with Dallas and Seattle, not too much to say in this one. Bjorkstrand had a very clutch save to keep the score from being 4-0 in the end. But Dallas was just in complete control from beginning to end. Decor did his best, but he was completely left out to dry by the defense. So rough night for the Kraken. There's been a lot of those recently. The Stars have been absolutely rolling. The Stars are truly shining right now. And I have big hopes for them in the playoffs. Let's really hope that they can actually squeak it together and make that run to the finals like they did against Tampa. But let's hope they can actually finish the job. We'll have to see. They're playing absolutely fantastic. It seems that when Ottinger's playing well, the entire team is playing well. Wedgwood has been fantastic. He's been a great backup as well. But I just think once Ottinger gets his game back, and he's finally seeming to get his game back after kind of a shaky season, then he's going to be really dangerous and he's going to be scary in the playoffs because playoff Ottinger is a different beast. He damn near beat the Flames in round one a few years back just by himself. So good job to him. Can't wait to see them in the playoffs. They're going to be a very exciting team. They're going to be a sneaker team for the President's Trophy. I'm really enjoying the Stars play at the moment. Seattle, not so much though, as the Stars take that one 3-0. Then over to Nashville versus Ottawa. Nashville is still a very hot team, and I'm still very much on the bandwagon. I think they're starting to face reality a little bit as to what they're going to have to face and what they're going to have to bring to the table come playoff time. I think Colorado really gave them a nice serving of humble pie, but Nashville honestly played really well. They really stepped up against the big boys. They were leading the game for a good portion of it, and the Avs do what they normally do and just make scoring 5 goals look effortless. I think there's a definite case that Cale Makar is the best all-around player in the league. No matter if you want him to play offense and score you goals, he'll do that no problem. If you want him to play defense, pick some pockets, he totally can do that. He can back check really well. He's a really fast skater. He has my vote for the best player on both sides of the puck, and he helps the Avs take this one 7-4. Then with Toronto and Buffalo, starting out, Auston Matthews scores his 60th goal of the season. That is his second 60-goal season. Absolutely incredible work from him. He is an absolute monster. But the big news is it's been a rough year for Buffalo. They came into the season for the first time in a long time with real expectations. But somewhere down the line, they tripped and they haven't been able to recover ever since. 2 bad losses at home will kill a team's confidence, and this team's confidence was already in the basement. Buffalo fans are tired, they're worn out, and I can't blame them. They have gone through a lot. The Eichel situation, back-to-back losing seasons. It's been a rough few years for Buffalo fans, and I feel for you. Let's honestly just hope that they can find some glimmers in the darkness and maybe commit to a full rebuild, as Toronto takes that one 3-0. Then with Carolina versus Montreal, you can beat the Habs, but they will make you work for it. They are a hard-working team. They do not give up very easily. Martin St. Louis' systems require hard work, and he expects nothing less. He is quickly blossoming into a fantastic coach, and I think he has a great future ahead of him in this organization. And I think the organization's happy to have him around. But at the end of the day, they are playing Carolina. What can they realistically do against them? Their offense and defense is just far too strong. There's not much they could really do, but they did make them work for it. But in the end, Carolina takes it 3-0. Then with Chicago versus Philadelphia, the days just get tougher and tougher in Philadelphia. The hope that this team would make the playoffs seems like a distant pipe dream at this point. Even if this is the beginning of the end for the Flyers, do not be discouraged. You guys played fantastic. You had a great year. You're playing with house money. Nobody thought you would get to this point. So the fact that you're even in the conversation for making a playoff spot is fantastic. You're doing a really good job. Keep it up. Torts is doing a fantastic job. The boys are absolutely rolling. I have no issues for the future of the Philadelphia Flyers if they can keep up this pace, if they can keep up with this system. I understand that Torts has the shelf life of milk, and I understand his systems get old quickly. But I think if they can just keep this up and he can keep the respect in that locker room and the guys continue to want to work for him, then everything will be okay. I think they do have a bright future if they can make the right moves in the future. But those are two very big ifs. So we'll have to see. As far as the Hawks goes, this is the best game I've seen them play all year. The boys were communicating, they were rallying around Bedard without fully relying on him. He was more of a secondary weapon tonight than he was the entire offense. Their depth was actually able to produce offense without 98 on the ice, and the Hawks take that one 5-1. Then with the Islanders versus the Lightning, the Islanders are in a similar position as the Flames. They're not competitive this year, but I think making the right moves in the summer that they could be competitive in the future. I think they could be a pretty good sleeper team if everything goes well in the off season, as well as the next trade deadline. I don't think they're quite ready to be fully competitive next year. Maybe the season after that, I'm not sure. But they're definitely going to be a sleeper team sometime in the not so distant future if they can keep up their work ethic and they can keep up the systems under Patrick Waugh. They seem to be working pretty well. Patrick Waugh seems to be a pretty decent coach. A lot of people were down on him when he first came in, but I think he's done a pretty good job. I don't think he relies too much on the goaltending. I know he is obviously a historic goaltender, so I was more worried that he would be so focused on the goaltending that the offense would really struggle, and that has been the case quite a bit. But I think nowadays, recently, he's been kind of turning it around and more focusing on offense. Washington's been a pretty hot team recently. I've been pretty high on them, but Boston's always going to be a tough matchup. They did make the game interesting, however, taking it all the way down to a shootout. But Boston's superior goaltending won the day as they take it 3-2 in an absolutely fantastic shootout. Then with Pittsburgh versus Columbus, the Penguins go from okay to disappointing on a dime. They build a 4-goal lead against the best team in the league and then blow it in 30 minutes. All I'm asking is for some consistency from the Penguins. I don't know what to expect from one night to the next. Again, it can be really frustrating because I am a Pittsburgh fan. I do really like the Penguins, but they don't seem to know what the future holds, and I don't know either. Even with this win, Elvis looks absolutely done in Columbus. He was openly screaming at his defenders after that third Penguins goal, and totally rightfully so. There's no reason that Raquel should have scored that goal. He had 3 defenders on him. He just walked through and just tapped it right in. There's no reason Raquel could have gotten that far. So I absolutely understand why Merzlikins was just giving it to the defense because they absolutely deserved it. But overall, another multi-goal lead blown by the Pittsburgh Penguins. This one's a lot harder to excuse because it's not against the Avalanche. It's against the Columbus Blue Jackets, a team that after that third goal, they should have been done. They should have twisted the knife and crushed them to bits. But they didn't. They let the foot off the gas. They let them go by, and they just let them build the lead and take it in overtime. And boy, did they take it in overtime as the Jackets take this one 4-3. Then with Ottawa and Winnipeg, the Sens stay hot. I think they're riding off that misconception that they're a really easy team to beat. And of course, Winnipeg of all teams is the ones to fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Shout out to Hellebuck for an extremely clutch poke check on Kachuk's breakaway. That would have been a for sure goal. Korpisalo also had a great night. This was just not Winnipeg's night. They just needed this win so bad, and this one's really going to sting because this was a team they should have beat, and they really needed to beat, honestly, and they just couldn't pull it through. The ground remains shaky for Winnipeg. I don't think they're standing on solid ground. I don't think that they have a free ride to the playoffs like they think they do, or at least thought they did at the start of the season. So we're going to have to see where this goes, but I would have some concerns as a Winnipeg Jets fan, as the Sens take that one 3-2. Speaking of a team that really needed a win but couldn't get it done against a team that they really should have, St. Louis versus San Jose. Credit where credit's due, the Sharks played a fantastic game. The Blues played well in the first period as well. I think that first Sharks goal just took the air out of their tires and they couldn't recover. Something that confused me is this team absolutely wanted this win. They absolutely needed this win if they wanted to keep their playoff hopes alive, but they really didn't play like it. Once the first or second goal went in, they kind of just seemed to pack it in and say, like, man, that was a tough loss. But it was like halfway through the second period. you could still figure it out. You could still get it back. But they really just didn't seem to want to. And that's odd because they really should want to and they really needed to. But two teams in a row that really should have won and needed to win and didn't. So welcome to the NHL. It's a crazy time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a really good time this week making this up. I think I did a little more efficiently this time, filming and editing kind of throughout the week, so it's not all just on the same day. I know this one's coming out late. I already can tell that I'm probably not going to get this out until Monday night. I do apologize. I tried my best, but it's been a busy few days with Easter and everything, but what can you do? Life comes first. And I really hope you enjoyed watching. I really enjoyed making it. And thank you all for watching and supporting. It really means the world. And yeah, the podcast episode should be up today. It is, yeah, I uploaded it today. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but I think, short and sweet, those are always good. Really loving the podcast, really loving to do that. Having a lot of fun with that, just kind of shooting the shit and getting kind of the little stuff that I can't talk about on here or like can't really make a video out of. It's good to kind of get that out of the way. I have some more ideas for the future with kind of some more opinionated videos and like and team deep dives and stuff like that. I'm very tired, but hey, we prevail. And yeah, I got to go watch the Canucks game. And thank you guys so much for watching. Next recap will be up hopefully Sunday or Monday night again, kind of work or schedule depending. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go edit this, hopefully get it up to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.